keys, madam. Uncle Francois?
Harry?
Is it from Elizabeth? She refuses me safe conduct through England.
Vanessa Redgrave has managed throughout her career to combine a sort of rebellious attitude with a classical tradition.
Very well.
Who are you and what are you doing here?
I need $150,000.
Oh, really? And you thought if you simply showed up, I might give it to you?
Why not? You gave Job 125.
The penny drops. You are not Job.
Vanessa Redgrave is a one-off. There isn't anybody really like her.
Howard's End was almost pulled down once. It would have killed me. It's my house, you know. It was left to me by my brother who died out in India. I love it so. I even resisted when Henry, my husband, wanted to make changes to improve the property. He knew best, of course. We even have a garage. To the west of the house, just beyond the chestnut tree, in the paddock where the pony used to be.
I think what's remarkable about the legacy of Vanessa Redgrave is she makes you forget she's a Redgrave. You know, you stop considering her in the context of her family and just think of her in the remarkable role she's done.
I've come for the photographs.
How did you manage to find me?
Do you live here?
She's able to be both steely and resolved, but with this enormous warmth and sensuality to her. And you realise that she's lived through everything that Britain's been through from 1954 to today, and she's able to use all that in her work.
You look great, honey, you look great. Now remember, no tricks, no lectures, and no Greek stuff.
I'll do exactly what you want, Mr. Sullivan, but if they like me, you pay.
You know the terms, honey. Contract dependent on attractability. Now remember, pep!
Pep.
Vanessa Redgrave was born in London in 1937 into a prominent acting family.
As legend has it, on the night of her birth, Sir Laurence Olivier, who'd been playing Hamlet, came to the edge of the stage and to the audience announced, "Tonight, the next great actress has been born." Michael Redgrave had been playing Laertes in the same show, so it was sort of in honour of him. So maybe a little bit of destiny had been sort of set in that motion, but it was an extraordinary family. Her father was Michael Redgrave, Sir Michael Redgrave, one of the acting greats. Her mother was Rachel Kempson, who had been in films like Georgie Girl and Tom Jones. Her grandfather was Roy Redgrave. He'd been a silent film star. And apparently she can trace an acting line all the way back into the mid-19th century, sort of parts of her family, in the theatrical tradition.
Because she grew up in the Blitz in 1943, the family moved to Herefordshire to escape the bombing, and they didn't come back to London until later, when she attended school and clearly wanted to perform. Actually, Vanessa Redgrave's first ambition was to become a dancer, a ballet dancer. Unfortunately, she was too tall, 5'11". So she sort of switched her allegiance to acting. It was inevitable, really, given the fact of her parents, but I think she probably felt that she needed to do something slightly different to what they were doing, and eventually ended up going into the same profession.
After drama school, Vanessa Redgrave joined the Royal Shakespeare Company very quickly and played a number of Shakespearean roles. Most notably, she was Rosalind in As You Like It. She was also performing on stage in new plays, new works. The role of Miss Jean Brodie, she was the first person to play that on stage. And so she had a very rich and very rewarding theatrical career very early in her life.
Vanessa Redgrave's first screen appearance would be in a supporting role in 1958's Behind the Mask, which starred her father, Michael Redgrave. She then worked exclusively on the stage for many years, before returning to film with 1966's Morgan, A Suitable Case for Treatment.
Morgan, A Suitable Case for Treatment, is the first major screen role for Vanessa Redgrave. And it's a rather extraordinary creation. It's directed by Carol Rice. And to a degree, it's part of the kind of British New Wave, but in a very sort of zany manner. It stars David Warner as a sort of fantasist character whose wife, a rather posh wife, played beautifully by Vanessa Redgrave, with all her kind of poise and dignity, has sort of left him because he's such a loony. And it's all about the attempts of David Warner's character to win her back over. And these take on rather surreal proportions. The whole thing has a kind of rather strange, groovy, swinging 60s-ness to it. And it says something about Vanessa Redgrave's ability to sort of catch the temperature of her material, that she knows she's got to play the straight character. You know, she's not the jokes, you know, that's coming from David Warner and his antics. But she's very elegant and poised, very Redgrave in her performance that captures the right tone of voice for it. And she would get an Oscar nomination from it.
Having earned an Oscar nomination for her first leading role on film, Vanessa Redgrave then appeared as Anne Boleyn in the multi-Oscar-winning A Man for All Seasons.
She played Anne Boleyn in A Man for All Seasons, and in many ways she was very well cast, because although in the film Anne Boleyn has very little to do apart from sort of flirt with Henry, she brings together the skittishness and the innocence and the wantonness and the idea that she is getting into something that she only half understands. She doesn't really see the repercussions of her flirtation with Henry. It's a very, very well modulated performance, considering how that she has virtually no dialogue. It's all done in gesture.
1966 turned out to be an incredible year for Vanessa Redgrave. Along with A Man for All Seasons and Morgan, A Suitable Case for Treatment, she also appeared in Michelangelo Antonioni's Blow Up.
The light was very beautiful in the park this morning. The shot should be very good. Anyway, I need them.
1966 is Blow Up. Notable in many ways, but it is Michelangelo Antonioni's first English language film. It is his vision of London. It is ultimate swinging London. And it's about a photographer played by David Hemmings who sees something and shoots something he shouldn't have and gets into a lot of trouble because of it. And Vanessa Redgrave is the subject, and it is wonderful because if you want to know what the 60s was about through the eyes of an Italian, then you have to see Blow Up. And she's great in it because all of this is swirling around, and the still center of this movie is Vanessa Redgrave, and she holds this picture together. And actually, in a way, she's who you kind of remember in it.
My private life's already in a mess. It would be a disaster if...
So what? Nothing like a little disaster for sorting things out. You ever done any modeling? Fashion stuff for me. You got it.
In 1967, Vanessa Redgrave starred as Guinevere in Camelot.
How long before we get to Camelot?
Soon, ma'am, but don't look out there. It's a ghastly forest.
It's the most ferocious, savage, terrifying forest I've ever seen. I simply adore it.
So throughout this kind of early film career, there's very much a theatrical career going on alongside the films. I mean, while she was shooting Blow Up, she was on stage doing Miss Jean Brodie. You know, it was quite a busy, important period in her career. And next would come, I suppose, the fulfillment of what her father wanted for her, the musical in Camelot. Camelot had been this huge hit on Broadway with Richard Burton as King Arthur, and it was kind of the telling of the story done to robust music. And it was going to be done as his big Hollywood production number. Ostensibly, Vanessa Redgrave's first mainstream film, I think you can say that. Although it's still very British in its texture. But what it did, I think, it was a film that made her slightly more commercial, made her less of this kind of pristine sort of theatrical figure, less of a goddess, and she became something a bit more available to kind of movies and Hollywood. Made her slightly more of a star, I suppose.
Following Camelot, Redgrave starred in the Italian thriller film A Quiet Place in the Country, with frequent collaborator and later husband Franco Nero. Then in 1968, she took on the role of famed dancer Isadora Duncan in Isadora.
How extravagant.
Oh, it was. You see, my father had just left us. He was a remarkable man, but unreliable. And that increased my mother's agony. All she could eat was oysters and champagne, the food of Aphrodite. And so naturally, I danced right from my conception.
You're speaking metaphorically, of course.
No, I'm speaking of my destiny.
(1968) is Isadora, a Carol Rice movie with Jason Robards. And Vanessa Redgrave plays the very eccentric American dancer Isadora Duncan, who kind of founded a new kind of dance. She took women out of their corsets and let them do what she called Greek style, so flowing robes, all of this kind of thing, which was a big thing, obviously, at the beginning of the 20th century. Redgrave spent 6 months actually learning to dance instead of sort of acting like a dancer, and she's quite wonderful. I can almost remember this film frame by frame when I first saw it. She's excellent. She holds this picture together. You care about it. And the awards people did too, because she gets a Golden Globe and Oscar nomination for Best Actress.
Beginning with Isadora, Vanessa Redgrave had begun a run of playing famous historical figures. Up next would be Sylvia Pankhurst in Oh, What a Lovely War, where she starred alongside several members of her family.
Well, I think we'll start. I think we're going to need the umbrellas.
Now, before I talk to you, I should like to read you a letter from George Bernard Shaw to my mother.
Aye, aye, aye.
He
Does your
says,
father know?
the men of our country are being sacrificed by the blunders of boobies, the cupidity of capitalists, the ambition of conquerors, the lusts and lies and rancors of bloodthirsts who love the war because it opens their prison doors and sets them on the throne of power and popularity.
I think that this is one of her really, really perfect roles, actually. It's a very short piece that she has, but when she stands on her soapbox to deliver a great speech to an increasingly disinterested audience, I think that that is not just Sylvia Pankhurst, it is also Vanessa Redgrave. It is where the character and the actress become sort of one. It's beautifully bold, it's completely incandescent in terms of her oratory. She is every inch Pankhurst, and I think that that is a really, really great piece of work in a film which was very, very popular.
After Sylvia Pankhurst, Vanessa Redgrave then took on the role of Mary, Queen of Scots.
She refuses me safe conduct through England. She hates me.
She fears you.
She says, renounce your claim to the English throne.
You renounce nothing. Neither your voyage home to Scotland, nor your true claim to the throne of England.
Quite right, brother. That is the ruling of Holy Mother Church.
Madam, you are the English queen. Elizabeth is bastard and heretic.
You're right.
Mary Queen of Scots is a biopic of Mary Queen of Scots, but it's really about the interplay between Mary and Queen Elizabeth, who's played by Glenda Jackson. In doing this, the filmmakers took a license. There's no evidence that Mary and Elizabeth ever met, but watching Redgrave and Jackson play against each other is really remarkable. Redgrave plays Mary Queen of Scots as a very elegant, very straight-back, very regal figure, and Glenda Jackson plays Elizabeth as very wise, quite manipulative, and so the way they work off each other is really exciting. It's the story that we know, and there's no new insight apart from that, apart from the relationship between the two women, and that's where it really catches fire.
In the same year as Mary, Queen of Scots, Redgrave acted opposite Franco Nero once more in Vacation and alongside Oliver Reed in The Devils. She would also share the screen with Katharine Hepburn in The Trojan Women.
Mother of him whose spear brought death to Greeks unnumbered, you see what is here. Driven like cattle, captured in a raid. My child and I.
It is fearful to be helpless. Men just now have taken Cassandra, forced her from me.
The Trojan Women is based on Euripides' plays, and it's the story of what became of the wives and queens of Troy after the walls fell. And it was a kind of one of those sort of almost sort of prestige productions that was heavily covered by the press, because here you had Katharine Hepburn as Hecuba, the great queen of Troy, and here you have Vanessa Redgrave, the daughter of this great British theatrical family. And you've got these two very contrasting people, each in their own way, very strong of personality. And the press were kind of haunting it, expecting great conflicts and fireworks to come out of this production, which never did, because apparently Vanessa Redgrave and Katharine Hepburn got on very, very well. It is a rather kind of noble, rather than engaging drama about, you know, women and the consequences of war. But it's very nice to see two very different actresses together.
Following The Trojan Women, Redgrave's next film would be an all-star cast adaptation of Murder on the Orient Express.
Not now. Not now. When it's all over, when it's behind us, then...
Murder on the Orient Express is a film where every single actor is famous and at the peak of their powers. It's a well-known story. It's been told many times about a train that is caught in the snow, someone is murdered, and Hercule Poirot, who's on the train, has to solve the murder. And it's a process of interviews in train carriages. So you've got to be great actors to make a series of interviews in the same room into a compelling piece of drama. Vanessa Redgrave is, as everyone is, a woman who isn't exactly what she seems. She appears to be a teacher, but then we discover about her past, and we discover who she used to be. But you see her develop out into this character who we see as sort of mousy and almost irrelevant, and develop into something else entirely.
Please be seated. Forgive me, Miss Debenham, I must be brief. You met Colonel Arbuthnot and fell in love with each other in Baghdad. Why must the English conceal even their most impeccable emotions?
To answer your observations in order, of course. Yes. Yes. And I don't know.
In 1977, Vanessa Redgrave starred in Fred Zinnemann's Julia.
Will you come home next summer? No, I'm going to Vienna. I'll finish my medical studies there. And then I'll apply to study with Professor Freud. Can you do that? I mean, I know you can do that, but Jesus. I think so. There's a chance. I think he will accept me. Lily, you have to come to Vienna.
Then you'll know what to write about. People are coming alive there, working people who've never had a chance before. They've built their own part of the city in Floridsdorf. They've got their own orchestra. The newspapers are best in Vienna. Lily, finally there's some real hope in the world. Do you understand?
Yes, of course.
Julia teamed Vanessa Redgrave back up with Fred Zinnemann, who she loved. She said she adored him as a director. It was the story of Lillian Hellman's relationship with a great friend of hers called Julia in pre-war Nazi Germany. Lillian Hellman, the great playwright, was persuaded by her friend Julia, played by Vanessa Redgrave, Lillian Hellman played by Jane Fonda. She was persuaded to bring funds to help fight the Nazi cause. You know, this was a life and death operation, and very, very, very dangerous. So it was a very powerful Jewish story, and would win Redgrave very deservedly an Oscar. She creates a very complex character.
When are we going to see each other again? It'll be so long.
Think of it this way. When we do, we'll have everything to talk about.
All ashore that's going ashore.
Please write me.
You know I will.
Work hard, take chances. Be very bold. You hear me?
Having won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Julia, Redgrave then starred as Agatha Christie in 1979's Agatha, before working with director James Ivory and Ismail Merchant for the first time on The Bostonians.
Our fight is directed against those that want to keep women in an inferior position.
Oh, I'd change my position for yours any day. That's what I said to myself as I sat there in your comfortable parlor.
But do you reproach me for having a little money?
Oh, certainly not.
It's the dearest wish of my heart to do something with it for others. Don't you believe in the coming of a better day, that it's possible to do something for the human race?
Well, what strikes me most, Miss Olive, is that the human race has just got to bear its troubles.
That's what men say, to keep women in the position they have made for them.
The position of women's nothing but to make fools of men.
Don't you believe in our emancipation?
I'll tell you after the meeting.
1984 is The Bostonians, based on the great Henry James novel. This is James Ivory picture. And Vanessa Redgrave plays a kind of a suffragette who is interested in a young lady in terms of molding her, making her into something that she needs her to be. And she's sort of in conflict with her cousin, played by Christopher Reeve. And he's a Southerner. And you see this conflict between these two people, and the girl is completely oblivious. She doesn't know what's going on with these two. And it's about their kind of battle with themselves. And it's a tragic picture in many ways, because she doesn't know who she is, Vanessa Redgrave. She doesn't know why she's doing what she's doing. And Henry James kind of nails it, and she nails it too. Vanessa Redgrave makes this into a tragedy, and it's very good.
After The Bostonians, Redgrave would star in a wide range of British productions, including Weatherby, Comrades and Prick Up Your Ears. Then in 1992 she reunited with James Ivory for Howard's End.
But I'm so grateful for your visit. Miss Schlegel, you see, I'm quite alone. My husband and daughter have gone off on a motoring tour in Yorkshire, and the young couple are on their honeymoon. Charles and Dolly.
Oh, may I see how lovely.
They've gone to Naples. I can hardly imagine my Charles in Naples.
Doesn't he like traveling?
Oh, yes, he likes travel. But he does see through foreigners, so. What he would enjoy most is a motor tour through England. Charles takes after me, Miss Schlegel. He truly loves England. Not, of course, London. None of us love London. It's so... It makes one feel so unstable, impermanent, with houses being torn down on all sides.
Howard's End is probably the finest collaboration between Merchant Ivory and all the actors there, including Vanessa Redgrave. I think this is the happiest and most consistently successful film that they've made. It is just a wonderful story of two sort of families. It's all about class. It's all about the sort of class system in England. And it is rich and fertile with great stuff. As the sort of matriarch, Redgrave is perfectly cast in it. She's now got to the stage where she can play these sort of high matriarchs so easily and with such authority and such grace that all she needs to do is move from one accent to another. But even her presence in this is just sort of to die for. Wonderful stuff.
After Howard's End, Redgrave surprised audiences by starring in Mission Impossible alongside Tom Cruise.
Sorry I doubted you. Dear boy, you are a good sport.
Thanks, Max. Or is it Maxine?
I don't have to tell you what a comfort anonymity can be in my profession. It's like a warm blanket. My deal with Job was subject to a successful boot scan. Obviously didn't pass muster. Deal's off.
What was your deal with Job?
$6 million. I'll give you the same, but I want the complete list now, not just Eastern Europe. I won't do this piecemeal. It's too dangerous. I want the entire list.
10 million. 10 million in negotiable U.S. Treasury certificates and bearer form coupons attached. And one more thing. Your personal assurance that Job will be at the exchange.
Mission Impossible is Brian De Palma and Tom Cruise remaking the iconic 60s TV show. And so the film was carrying a lot of weight. There was a lot of anticipation. It was a thrilling theatrical event. And the film starts pretty much as a conventional spy thriller. It's about spies betraying each other. There are some spectacular stunts and spectacular explosions, but it is very much within the genre until a particular point, which is where Tom Cruise makes a discovery and realizes that there's an arms dealer called Max involved in this and makes contact with Max. When he meets Max, Max is Vanessa Redgrave, and she plays this arms dealer as this very sensual, very kind of warm and just delighted sort of character. And from then on, there's this slight flirtation between the two of them, which is completely unexpected. At that point, you know, the villains and the arms dealers in spy movies, we know what they were. They were kind of men who stroked cats, or they were, you know, rough, scarred people. This idea that there'd be this enormously sensual woman playing this arms dealer and taking great joy in the way that everything unfolded. I think it redefined the way that we saw baddies, and from then on you start to see Hollywood realise that, and baddies become more and more humorous and more joyful. But it's that moment you first see Vanessa Redgrave and you think, wow, that is something I genuinely didn't expect, and her performance delivers.
Following Mission Impossible, Redgrave then starred as Oscar Wilde's mother in 1997's Wild, before taking on the titular role of Mrs. Dalloway in an adaptation of the Virginia Woolf novel.
Good morning to you, Clarissa.
You.
And where are you off to?
To buy flowers for my party. I love walking in London on a day like this. It's better than in the country.
Evelyn wouldn't agree with you there. She can't bear coming out to town. I had to get her to come up. See Wyber. He's put her in a nursing home for a few days.
Nothing serious?
No, nothing serious. She's just a good deal out of sorts. The war may be over, but there's still the echo of it. The Bexborough boy was killed, you know, and she is very close to Lady Bexborough, of course. And Evelyn takes things badly.
Yes. One does still hear dreadful stories.
I must get on. They'll be waiting for this at the palace.
1997 is Mrs. Dalloway, directed by Marlene Goris, a real passion project for Vanessa Redgrave because she loved the book and she really wanted to get this on screen. Of course, she had the clout, she had the power to do it.
It's a great film about self-doubt, which is a really good subject for Vanessa Redgrave because I think she is someone who suffers from self-doubt and utilises that kind of insecurity. And it's just a chance for Vanessa Redgrave to kind of reveal to us just sort of how complicated she can be and how humane she can be on the screen.
Fear no more the heat of the sun, nor the furious winter's rages. It's all over for me. The sheet stretched and the bed narrow.
Following Mrs. Dalloway, Redgrave starred in the big-budget epic Deep Impact, before appearing opposite Winona Ryder in Girl Interrupted.
You're not ready for it, Susanna. Your progress has plateaued. Does that disappoint you?
I'm ambivalent. In fact, that's my new favorite word.
Do you know what that means, ambivalence?
I don't care.
If it's your favorite word, I would have thought you
It
would.
means I don't care. That's what it means.
On the contrary, Susanna, ambivalence suggests strong feelings. In opposition, the prefix, as in ambidextrous, means both. The rest of it, in Latin, means vigor. The word suggests that you are torn between two opposing courses of action.
Girl Interrupted is a film really about women on the verge of a nervous breakdown, actually. It's set in a psychiatric unit. And Vanessa Redgrave plays the sort of resident consultant, the doctor. And so she has to deal with various girls who are, you know, self-harming, whatever. They've all got a great deal of psychological problems. And she focuses in on Winona Ryder, who has very specific problems. There isn't anything inauthentic about the way that she handles the cases, handles the girls. She is not lacking in emotion, and yet she doesn't use emotional sort of pressure. She is clinical when need be, and above all, she's kind. And I think that that kindness through her sort of, you know, all the other sort of elements, the professional elements, is what makes her a really, really special creature in this film. I love this. I love her performance in it. I'd forgotten how good she was in it, actually, until I watched it again, because, of course, one remembers Winona Ryder or anything like that, but she's actually this kind of warm, beating center of that movie.
It's a very big question you're faced with, Susanna. The choice of your life. How much will you indulge in your flaws? What are your flaws? Are they flaws? If you embrace them, will you commit yourself to hospital for life? Big questions, big decisions. Not surprising you profess carelessness about them.
In 2007, Vanessa Redgrave starred in Atonement.
Brian Italis, I'd like to talk now about your new novel, Atonement, which comes out in a few days to coincide with your birthday. It's your 21st novel.
It's my last novel.
Oh, really? Are you retiring?
I'm dying. My doctor tells me I have something called vascular dementia, which is essentially a continuous series of tiny strokes. Your brain closes down gradually. You lose words, you lose your memory, which for a writer is pretty much the point. So that's why I could finally write the book, I think. I had to. And why, of course, it's my last novel.
Atonement, to me, is almost like the bookend on a great British literary tradition that Vanessa Redgrave had been at the heart of. And the extraordinary nature of the story is that it is about story itself and what the story does, you know, what it can serve. What's so exciting, I think, about the film and its interpretation of the novel, and in many ways, I think Vanessa Redgrave is the key to understanding that in the terms of how the structure. It's about the power of stories. Can stories atone for sins? Can they rewrite reality? What do they do? Do we need them to readjust reality? And it's very powerful in that respect.
I'd like to think this isn't weakness or evasion. but a final act of kindness. I gave them their happiness.
The 2000s saw Vanessa Redgrave working one more time with director James Ivory in The White Countess. She also appeared alongside Peter O'Toole in Venus, but one of Redgrave's most critically acclaimed films and performances in her later career was as the Dupost family matriarch in Foxcatcher.
I thought we could put it in the Rosemont case.
It says John Eagle DuPont.
That's right.
First place?
Yes.
You funded this, presumably. You can put it in the trophy room.
Thank you, Mother.
Foxcatcher is an American movie, and it's sort of funny, and it's very dark, about a real story of this US wrestler and how he fell into the clutches of this playboy, who's played by Steve Carell, who wants to build a perfect wrestling team to win at the Olympics. And it's all based on real events. Vanessa Redgrave is Steve Carell's mother, Jean DuPont, and her role is to effectively mobilize her son by her absolute scorn and disregard for everything that he does. And she does this really amazingly well. She plays this woman who, every time her son, now he's in his 40s, brings her something. Look at what I've done, Mother. She freezes him out. Now the comedy then dies at that moment. What she's able to do is she introduces the idea that there's real drama at the heart of this. It starts off fun, and it's when she is facing off with her son that you can see the damage she's done, and you can see where this is going to go and how it will spiral out of control. So she is, again, the key character in making this more than just a romp, and she does it just, she plays it note perfect.
Vanessa Redgrave has continued to work in an extraordinary number of films in her later career, as well as continuing one of her most popular roles as the narrator and occasional star in the television series Call the Midwife.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm a fool or a romantic or a creature of routine.
Last two. Once a nurse, always a nurse.
We were so young.
Sister Monica Joan must have been 80-odd, even then.
I think the word I'm looking for is innocent. I mean, we knew things, I'd seen things I'd never seen before and never since, but we had a way at looking the future in the eye. Not frightened at all. Only the young do that. I wish I could find that ornament.
Vanessa Redgrave's contribution to Call the Midwife is one of the reasons I think that it's been so successful as a series. She basically just is the narrator. I mean, she is the voiceover for the whole series. And it is that voice, that sort of slightly smoky drawl, drags you into her mind, as it were. And there's occasionally a little crack in it. Her character, which we do in fact finally see in the Christmas special, as a sort of queen of midwives, as it were, is what threads the whole thing together. And it's almost as if all the episodes and all the characters that come and go throughout it are actually linked by that one narrative voice. She is the one that holds the whole thing together. She's the continuum throughout the thing, and it's vocally, that's all it is.
Sometimes Christmas is made more exquisite by the change it brings. New beginnings, accepted with grace, become beloved memories. And their beauty shines forever. Dear faces under glass.
She came from that extraordinary theatrical tradition. She put in extraordinary work on stage. But she also invented a kind of role for herself and a performance for herself that was different from many of her peers. I think there's something very unique about her.
She will always bring something new and something fresh to any role. The way she performs those switches the movie. It upweights the movie, it makes you feel better about everything. She's able to be both steely and resolved, but with this enormous warmth and sensuality to her.
She was a major Shakespearean star by the time she was 30 years old. She embodied in many ways the 60s itself, the look, as well as her choice of roles. At the same time, she's a political activist. There are things Vanessa Redgrave believes in, and she doesn't care to hide those things. She is the jewel, in many ways, of the British stage and the British cinema, and they come together in this still working, magnificent actor, Vanessa Redgrave.
Vanessa Redgrave is quite simply one of the greatest British actresses of her generation. She is an icon in the truest sense as part of one of the great acting dynasties that this country's ever produced.